Welcome to Private Club Radio, your weekly source for industry education, news and discussion. Broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Gabriel Aloisi.
Hey, back at it again for another edition of the recap show from the National Club Conference in Los Angeles. This is number 3 in our series. This will be the last one where we cover what happened over there in LA at the National Club Association's conference. We've got, once again, just a packed lineup for you. First off, talking with Frank Vane of the McMahon Group. We're also going to talk with Bill McMahon Jr. of the McMahon Group a little later in the episode. We're going to speak with Mike Stachura. So for all you golf fans out there, Mike Stachura is the lead equipment reviewer for Golf Digest. He's going to talk about what's going on in terms of improvements to the game. We're also going to hear from Jeff McFadden of the Union League Club of Philadelphia, a club that is at the forefront of innovation. You're going to be amazed at what they've got going on there. And that's not all. We're going to speak with John Harvey of EA Photography so you can find out why it's important to have consistency at your club. So much good information to be spouted off here on this episode. Sit back, relax, and here we go. So my first guest that I'm going to bring you today is Jeff McFadden of the Union League Club of Philadelphia. Jeff has done some remarkable things at his club. First off, they're buying up different clubs around the area. So now they have a beach club, they've got golf courses, they've got other amenities for their members. It's not just a city club. And the other thing that's happening is that they have created this system for their members that's very similar to an Uber. So if they want to have a ride or some kind of ride sharing, they can tap into their own custom Uber-like system. That's the first thing I asked Jeff about, and here's what he had to say about it.
Just like a car share.
Yeah, that's
program.
great.
It works great.
Yeah,
especially because we're becoming more and more urbanites. About 89% of Americans live in downtown environment today. By 2030, about 93% will live in a downtown environment.
Oh my goodness!
So it's pretty good.
Wow. What's causing that shift?
Well, I think it's lifestyle. So what happens is those who say are over the age of 45, really value things, stuff, large homes,
right,
mansions, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And millennials and Generation X and those below or younger, they value experiences, lifestyle,
right,
healthcare, spending. They're not impressed with a $10 million home, 10 bedrooms. So
right,
they don't care. They want to know, where'd you go on vacation?
Sure.
What did you read?
Right.
Did you go to Spain? Did you go to Abu Dhabi? Did you go to Malaysia? Where did you go?
Right.
Sort of thing.
What are you most proud of over your tenure at Union Club?
I think I'm most proud in that we built a culture as being an exclusive club, but at the same time expanding our amenities and offering the club of tomorrow in a club that was built 155 years ago.
Right.
So it's really taking the traditional old values of the club and what it stood for, and then modernizing it and being successful in that. And so we're really proud of that. And
that's awesome.
Of course, we now have we went from 60 employees to 600 employees.
That's
and
incredible.
So it's nice to be an economic engine too.
Yeah, exactly.
See folks succeed.
Yeah. So let's talk about the properties that you've taken on and you've expanded.
So we have 5 properties now. Obviously, the heart and soul of the Union League is 140 South Broad Street, right in the middle of Center City. And we have 2 independent, kind of very authentic, hip restaurants, one on the main line and then one down the shore. The one down the shore is open only Memorial Day to Labor Day. Very exclusive, can't get in. It's only 80 seats. And then the one in the main line is called the Guardhouse. It was built in 1790.
Wow.
So the ceilings are like 6 feet and below. So
very colonial looking,
exactly,
I take it.
It is. So, and that's sort of the yin to the yang of the bungalow, which is the name of the restaurant down the shore. The Guardhouse is like the winter place. So it has 5 rooms, seats about 90 people with 7 fireplaces. So each room only has like somewhere between 18 and 22 seats.
Yeah. Do you find that your members kind of go around to each one, or do some just hang at one particular property?
No, I think in the restaurants themselves, they use them as authentic experiences for dining.
Yeah.
It's basically it's another way to add value to their dues dollars. So, like the other two properties we have, which are golf clubs, those are more year-round. Have a pool, trap shooting,
Right.
tennis, fitness, that sort of thing. So, where the restaurants are more quirky and unique and kind of special.
Sure.
I mean, it's a really authentic amenity.
Right. Well, let's talk about the Wheels Up program and how you're shuffling your members to the different properties and taking care of them.
Yeah, it's interesting what's happened with Ken Deeker, who started Wheels Up. We approached him to partner, and we're one of the few clubs that has a partnership with them. And we just found that our members want a unique experience, and private jet service or private King Air service is relatively expensive, and it's hard to figure out how to do it on your own. So when the Union League gets involved with the Wheels Up program, we sort of validate Wheels Up. We've got all the kinks out of it, and it's a one-stop shop and easy for our members to call our concierge and say, hey, I'm going to do a family reunion at the Greenbrier.
Yeah.
And I'd love to take, it's our 50th wedding anniversary. It's more like those once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime type services. And it's value added.
Well, that's the perfect lead-in to Frank Vane of the McMahon Group. Frank's going to talk to us about city clubs especially, and what are some of the trends happening in city clubs, why we're seeing a resurgence around the country. Here's my interview with Frank.
Well, next up is Frank Vane. He's the president of the McMahon Group. He joins me here at the National Club Association's National Conference. Frank, how are you?
Doing great, thank you. Yeah.
Enjoying some of the sessions?
We are, yeah. It's been great, great. A lot of information. Been a real diverse speaker group, and always fun to be in LA. So.
Oh, always good time. We were at the California Club last night. Tonight you have the Jonathan Beach Club. So let's first talk about city clubs and the impact that they're starting to make in the industry.
Well, we really see a lot of changes happening. It's really good, and a lot of it has to do with demographics. I've actually been really surprised. I hadn't been in downtown in Los Angeles in, I don't know, probably 30 plus years.
Wow.
Maybe. And I think there was about a bus stop here and a couple buildings, and there wasn't a whole lot going on. It's always been a suburban car community, of course. But even you're seeing it here with the apartments and condos and all the development going on, and clearly the clubs we visited, Jonathan and California. It was actually the City Club of Los Angeles yesterday, well over 1,000 members, doing extremely well. So, we think the city clubs are being powered by demographics. What's happening there? Young folks want to be in cities, and the urbanization and everything that's going on there is really a powerful force for city clubs. And I think you've had a combination of a bit of a right sizing of the market. Mm-hmm. There are fewer city clubs, so of course for those who remain, that's good news. Market right sizing then, but really I think you're going to see them rise to new heights again, given what's happening in downtown development.
I love talking to you, Frank, because we're always talking about trends, and I know you've got a great perspective on what's happening in the industry. So what are city clubs doing to really differentiate themselves right now?
Well, I think they're really responding to what's happening in the marketplace. Again, as always, innovating F&B, right? So they're developing spaces, and city clubs have such unique spaces and ways to create and use, multi-story buildings that are often a couple 100,000 square feet. So they have a lot of opportunity in reinventing those in ways into, for example, cafes, communication centers, all those sorts of things. I was recently at the Detroit Athletic Club. They have their version of a Starbucks in the Detroit Athletic Club. And it was the busiest room in the place.
Really?
And it had all that might, express to you in your mind when you think about a Starbucks. There were people sitting there working on a laptop. There were people getting muffins and drinking coffee and having little informal gatherings and meetings and all of that sort of thing. Yeah. So, using spaces that way, certainly what they're doing in health, fitness, and wellness. They're really trying to compete with, again, the great offerings, the Equinox and other people that are in these downtown environments, but really modernizing their facilities in those regards to be kind of hip within
Sure.
within a traditional environment and,
Right.
and a club environment, but and I think they have a little easier time making that conversion because their sweet spot's a little younger than the country club.
Sure.
So
Right.
that 30, 35, 40-year-old you'll really see have some presence in a city club, and so they can modernize and adjust to those, and those that are doing it are really finding some good response.
Yeah. So we had Jeff from the Union League,
Yeah, well,
Philadelphia
what
on.
a great example that is, right?
Are you seeing some other clubs take a similar approach where the Union League Philadelphia bought up a number of properties, golf properties and vacation rentals and things? Are you seeing that as a trend?
Yeah, a little bit. City clubs have the numbers to do that. So they're often can be the acquirer, the larger club. But the Wisconsin club runs a wonderful program and has a city country club environment also. And they've done a couple great things. One, connecting with their downtown. I mean, the club runs a shuttle throughout downtown Milwaukee.
Wow.
And
that's
multiple,
amazing.
Yeah, well, and multiple shuttles actually.
How many stops are there?
Oh, I don't know whether it's a fixed schedule or as requested, but I believe they have about 5 shuttles they run through town.
That's impressive.
And it is, and what they visualize themselves is as a gateway to activities in the city. So if you're coming to the city, come to the club, have something to eat, land there, get in the shuttle, go to a basketball game, go to a concert, whatever, come back to the club, and again, use the club.
Becomes the
hub. It becomes that portal to that experience.
That's brilliant. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I think you'll see more. It's kind of an interesting sort of shoes on the other foot environment. When city clubs were really struggling in the 90s, they went and approached country clubs, and the country clubs had no interest because they were sort of booming in the golf days and all that sort of thing. And today it's the other way around. The country clubs often are looking for an answer, and the city clubs are resurgent in a lot of ways. And so I think you're going to see that conversation spark up again, and I think you'll see more sort of marriages as they do that, and that's a good one. You hear a lot about mergers and acquisitions and all that. Well, owning 2 country clubs is, not necessarily a great answer. It's not kind of business where economies of scale and all that are real present. You get a lot of the capital that comes along with that. But combining the city and the country, it really offers a lot of opportunity.
It's nice to get the best of both worlds in a way. That's kind of cool. Just escape and.
Yeah, it is, and you can get the geographic diversity. Missouri Athletic Club in St. Louis has a town club and also has a suburban, family club here tonight, right? The Jonathan Club right around the corner from us here today, and we'll be out at the Jonathan Club Beach Club tonight.
Right.
And I visited that club, the Beach Club, on Sunday, and just families were everywhere, kids were everywhere, all that sort of thing. Well, you can get that, but you can also come into town here and get the true urban environment with that. And so
that's nice.
That's a value add that's really, really strong.
Absolutely. So I've seen a ton of research that McMahon Group is putting out these days. Can you talk about some of the studies and surveys you've been conducting?
Yeah, I think one takeaway from that, I was just mentioning to somebody here earlier, we've looked at the results, and so we've maintained a database for a long period of time. And what's impressive overall is the higher level of satisfaction among members in clubs today than there was 10 or 15 years ago.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and so, it shows that the industry has responded, is thinking about responding. Areas that particularly were sort of areas of kind of tolerance, or we weren't sure what we're doing. Food and beverage, for example, it was never real clear as to what its role was, and we used to even talk about having country club food, as if that was sort of another segment that we could survive in,
Right.
And what you're finding today is the food quality ratings are higher, the service ratings are higher, and all that, because clubs have recognized the importance of that department. So, so I think it's noteworthy as to how much more satisfaction there is among the memberships today, and we have to do it, right? And we keep doing it, and we've had a lot of speakers here today talk about the notion of exceptional performance and all of those sorts of things. And I think clubs are hearing that message, and I think they're delivering on that message in many ways. So I think that's a big piece of it. The other, and which indicates why they need to do that, are certainly continuing the changing values and expectations of the newer members.
Yeah.
We continue to see in our surveys, when you segment those by younger members and recent joiners, the priorities are different than they are for the members who've been there for a long time or who are older.
Right.
And so in that environment, you see things like golf being 6th or 7th on the list as a reason as to why they joined the club. Now, golf's not going to go away, and golf is repositioning and responding in a variety of ways. But we need to pay attention to the fact that they're coming to us for family, for the food and beverage, for health and wellness, and
pools.
All those sorts of things. Pools.
Yep.
I mean, we call the pool the gateway amenity. I say today, you want to attract a new young family to your club. It's it's a great investment, and not only because we think about access to a pool. Well, again, the people we deal with, I think, have access to water. They can figure out how to get in a pool, but can they get in a pool with people that shared values, or on a swim team, or those sorts of things that are really about community and relationship building. And all those investments drive that, and I think we'll continue to see that.
Right, a great cornerstone. Absolutely. Well, Frank, people want to get in touch with the McMahon Group, and maybe you specifically, how do they do that?
Sure, can reach us at McMahonGroup.com is the website, MCMAHON group.com, and I'm at fvane@McMahonGroup.com.
Yep, and I absolutely would recommend Club Trends, the publication that McMahon Group puts out quarterly, I believe.
It's a quarterly publication.
That's one of my favorites out there.
Good,
So definitely take a subscription there. Frank, so much.
Gabe, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to my voice during these interviews for the first time since it happened, and I sound downright giddy. And it's because I was. There's such a cool energy and vibe happening at the National Club Conference. You've got to be there to really experience it. If you don't know much about the NCA, I definitely recommend you check out their website, nationalclub.org. They are such a wealth of information, news, highlights, updates. I really enjoy it. I love getting their email blasts. A couple times a week, they have industry information and education that they're sharing, along with updates to what's happening with legal issues and government issues in Washington, D.C. So definitely subscribe to their e-newsletter. All right, well, we are going to change gears a little bit here and talk golf. If you are a golf gear nut like I am, I'm a geek for golf gear, you're going to love my interview with Mike Stachura of Golf Digest. Here's Mike.
Mike, welcome to Private Club Radio.
Thanks, Gabe. My pleasure.
You were just up with the CEO of Callaway talking about some of the innovations that they're coming out with. When you're looking into all the new stuff out there on the market, are these new innovations, are they good for the game? Does it really actually add to the enjoyment of the game?
Well, I mean, I think there's two things at work. Golf has a very long, almost tradition of innovation. Now, that can mean things that say they're innovative and things that truly are innovative, but the perception that there is some magic golf club out there is part of the heritage of the game. So I think it's just woven into the fabric of the game, and I think that's a good thing. Secondly, there is more intellectual horsepower in golf club innovation now this week than there has been in the previous 100 years.
Wow.
And I think at the end of the day, that the benefit of that innovation is going to be better products. And really where they're going to be better products is not so much for elite players, but for the paying customer. And I think that's the hardest part of innovation, okay? The hardest part, it's easy to innovate when you're innovating for perfection, okay? Because you have a repeating swing, and I know this is going to happen, so I'm going to innovate this way.
Right.
But if I have to innovate based on an unlimited range of possible impacts, that gets really difficult, and I need a lot of smart people to help me figure that out. But I think that's where, that's where the innovation is happening, because that's where we all live, and two, that's where it's happening because the ruling bodies have pretty much said, okay, the perfect hit, that's where we're going to draw the limit. But we're going to be have a little bit more freedom on the areas that are not perfect. So that's got to be great for average golfers like you and me, Gabe.
Is your bag constantly evolving, of things that you actually play with, just depending on what you're testing out, or how does it work?
We have a process at Golf Digest for the Hot List where we have a team of people that are involved in evaluating clubs. So it's the Hot List isn't about Mike Stachura says this works for me, so it goes right to the top of the list. Mm-hmm. I do, as a necessary requirement of my existence, if I am not trying out a new product every time I go to the driving range or the golf course, I'm not doing my job. And so I have plenty of opportunities to try new products. I wouldn't recommend that as the best way to improve your game.
Right.
I recommend going to see a fitter and getting dialed in specifically to the right clubs and sticking with that set of clubs until such time that those clubs don't seem to work anymore for you. Mm-hmm. But yes, it is a constant challenge to try something new, and I think that certainly keeps me inspired to because I am flat out floored that they have thought of something new again.
Right. What is getting you excited right now in the market?
I think I'm really intrigued by a couple of things. I think I'm really intrigued about this thing that we've been talking about, that the idea of improving the off-center hit in a way that is getting closer and closer to the center hit. And that's happening not just in drivers, it's happening in irons, and it's happening, believe it or not, even in putters. So I think that's a key element. I think there is a whole other area that has nothing to do with clubs and balls, and we're talking about the GPS app, the thing that Game Golf is doing and the thing that Arcos is doing, where they're literally at the point now where they're bringing artificial intelligence to the way those apps work. Cool. So that you will have essentially a virtual caddy that not is just kind of making blanket recommendations, but literally club selection based not only on how people have traditionally played this hole, but how you play golf. Mm-hmm. So if you have a hybrid that you can't hit very well, it knows that, and it's going to say, you know what, even this is a short par 4, I still want you to hit driver. Wow. Because your success rate is going to be better. And the amazing thing about AI in golf is that nobody really knows how it works. It's like this cake that you just put the kitchen sink of ingredients into, and it spits out a recommendation that the smartest human caddy with the most experience, who has only caddied for you for your entire life, couldn't even come up with that same answer.
And it's doing it in milliseconds.
And exactly. So I think
crazy.
we're at a brave new world where that aspect.
How far along down the road is that technology?
Well, in a sense, it exists currently. Yeah. Arcos has Arcos Caddy already part
portfolio
of things. Game Golf is introducing this month their Smart Caddy. So these things are out in the marketplace, and it's really now at a stage where the USGA is going to step in and say, well, this much AI is okay and this much is too much. But I think from an average golfer standpoint, I think the argument can be made that we need to explore this technology because it's a new way to get better. Okay, yeah. It's not just here's not lots of information. It's all of a sudden I'm learning how far I actually hit my 7-iron, or how much the wind affects
how consistent you are.
How consistent you are. What I need to work on.
Right.
It's literally mapped out after every round. Here's where your weaknesses are, and I think that is a key aspect. And then the interconnectivity with your teacher.
Right.
Your teacher can see that information now, and all of a sudden you show up for a lesson and there's no 10-minute process. Hey, what are you working at?
Yeah.
He says, listen, hey, I just saw your readout from Arcos. You need to spend some time in the bunker.
It's fascinating.
And so, I mean, I think we're at a brave new moment for rapid improvement in average golfers.
Wow, that's cool. I've actually given some talks on artificial intelligence. Never really thought of it in those terms. That's incredible. For the average golfer, and I know average is a pretty vague term, but
right.
Let's say you had a choice, right, to spend some money. You're going to buy a driver, a set of irons, wedges, or a putter. Where do you think people would get their most value right now in terms of game improvement?
Well, I think the one thing that people don't think about is the club that you use the most is the putter. Mm-hmm. And the club that's easiest to get fit for is the putter.
Sure.
So, and not only that, it's the cheapest to get fit for.
And it's probably the cheapest club in the well, it doesn't have to necessarily, but
it's trending,
right?
But so I think the putter is an unexplored option. I wouldn't say it's necessarily going to be a dramatic sea change in your game, but we all lose a lot of strokes around and on the green. So I think look at the putter as a dramatic area to improve your game. I would say, again, sticking around the greens, people's distance gaps with their wedges are way off. People will have a pitching wedge and a sand wedge, and there's 10 degrees of no club.
Wow.
And that's a huge mistake when you're trying to when you're talking about why you score.
Sure.
And then, quite honestly, I don't think you can answer the question of what segment of your bag you should improve without looking at which segment of your bag hasn't been changed recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or how poor your game is in that area. I
yeah,
guess, right?
and you certainly, lessons are certainly a part of this whole conversation.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got a new driver in 5 years and you think, well, this is just good enough because they really haven't, the rules haven't changed. Well, again, what we talked about initially, they've improved the area where you miss it.
Yeah.
So, and the beauty of technology today is you take your old driver into your fitter and say, beat it. And either he does or he doesn't. And you can then choose to decide whether if that advantage is worth buying or not. But the fact is, in cold, hard numbers, the answer is there.
That's awesome. Mike, I really appreciate your insight, and thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks, Gabe. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
All right, I loved that one. Now we're going to bring on some folks that I see at every single industry event, basically, that I attend. It's EA Photography. I'm sure you know of them. Maybe you don't know their story, and you maybe don't know why they're such an important service to the private club industry. But here's my interview with John
I never
Harvey,
get to a conference or an industry event without seeing you guys there. Well, it's amazing.
It certainly seems like we are, and we try to be at many different places as we can. Absolutely.
You guys are extremely visible. And the other thing I like to do is, so I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and if I'm trying to find connections within the private club industry, whether it's managers, membership directors, or whatnot, I usually look for that blue background. It's
that is one of the things we're shooting for. That's for sure.
It's like amazing consistency with all the work you guys do. Why is consistency so important?
Well, we've been in business for since 1945, and many times we work with clubs. We don't go out every year. We'll go out every 3 years, every 5 years, and it just enables us to deliver a product that is always consistent. Whether it's this year, last year, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. You're going to see the similarities. You're going to recognize the portraiture. That's kind of like one of our signatures.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, EA Photography, you guys go out and you do headshots of members in the entire club and the staff and all sorts of things. So what are some of the ways that clubs are using your work?
Well, the main idea of our program is to help everyone get to know each other by name. Not only the members with one another, but the staff and the members, upper management, mid management, whatnot. But the way that they utilize them there too. A lot of clubs, before it was always printed directories, but that's kind of going by the wayside now. Right. Online directories, web directories with their social media. Oftentimes they'll have like a digital monitor, like let's say in the men's lounge, and they'll have like their top golfer. They'll showcase his picture. You know what I mean?
Yep.
To try to feature the members.
Yeah.
And then also with our program, we give them an album too, like in the lobby, and then training books for the staff. So the concept is to just try to help everyone. Like I said, get to know who everyone else is. To enhance. You always hear the phrase the club experience.
Sure.
So.
I think it's so important, especially when you're training staff, that they very quickly start to learn the names of members, because that's what separates, obviously, a private club from a restaurant or hotel environment.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. What other unique ways are people using your work out there?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure about unique, just because we're so limited to only working with private clubs.
Yeah.
Like I said, other than just the recognition aspect, the way that we stay in business, of course, is we offer fine portraiture. So I know that oftentimes members will, you get the member that gets like a really fancy oil painting with their family or with their beloved pet.
Right.
So I guess getting a 40 by 60 inch hand painted oil painting of of yourself with your favorite animal.
Sure.
I think that would be unique.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, for sure. How many clubs have you guys worked with now?
Oh, gosh.
Probably a ton.
Yeah, thousands.
Wow.
Thousands. I mean, because we've been in business since 1945.
Right.
So certainly a long time.
Wow.
Definitely.
Any properties out there stand out to you? Just some iconic places that you really enjoyed shooting at for whatever reason?
Gosh, there's just so many. There's just so many amazing clubs out there. It's really tough to put up.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, just to pick one, and it really depends too, because you've got the Northeast, or you've got the clubs that were built in the 1700s, 1800s,
Right.
And then you have the in Florida where they've just built a year ago, and
Right.
it's just
Palatial.
insane. You're like, it's like you're in Dubai or
Right.
something,
Yeah.
Really. And then just kind of all different other types of clubs in between.
Yeah.
It's just really a interesting industry for me. You know?
It's amazing that you focused really on one part of the photography experience too, which is really the head shot. Was there a conscious decision behind that?
Well, I mean, back when we first started, we started off as a film studio in Hollywood, California, where I think primarily our main business were law firms,
Sure.
hospitals,
Yep.
photographing like the upper board of directors, that type of thing,
Right.
the staff, and then like attorneys, whatnot. Because we used to do directories for that, and I think it was just made sense to transition from that into working in the private club industry.
Right. What do you what gets you excited every day? Because when you're doing headshots, I got to imagine at some point they all kind of run together, right? But what keeps you excited and motivated?
I guess you just really never know who you're going to meet, and it's just that really amazing part of it is that, and I like this, like being able to be here and speaking with you.
Sure.
I get to see you all over the country.
Yep.
I guess you just never know who you're going to meet. I mean, sometimes you run into celebrities,
Right.
clubs. You just never know.
Yeah, that was my next question actually. Who is the most famous person you photographed?
Well, I'd say probably the most recognizable one that I would say was we used to have the centerpiece of our booth was Jack Nicholson.
Very cool.
in the 90s,
Wow.
we shot him.
Yeah,
I think I can't remember which club, but yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
that's
But I mean,
fantastic.
we photographed John Wayne. We photographed, all kinds of attorneys, judges, doctors. Like I said, celebrities. I mean, we photographed Hillary Clinton when she was very young,
Oh my
still
goodness.
in law school.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
just
cool.
all over the board.
And it's the same, like it's that same consistent portrait.
Oh.
So if you get your portrait with EA photography, you'll have one just like John Wayne, Hillary Clinton, Jack Nicklaus. That's pretty cool.
That's true, absolutely.
Something to be
man.
said for that, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, I enjoyed it. How do folks get in touch with EA?
The easiest way is just to just go online, and it's just eaclubs.com.
Cool.
And of course I'm John, so just John at eaclubs.com, and you'll
Cool.
get right to me.
Book a session today. Thanks,
Yeah,
John.
right on.
Good
Thank
to
you
speak
so
with you,
much.
man.
Such a nice guy. If you see him at the next conference, be sure and say hello and get your headshot from EA. Well, we're going to wrap up the NCA conference episodes with Bill McMahon Jr., who gives us his take.
Well, joining
on
me
what
right
he
now is Bill
experienced
McMahon
at
Jr.,
the
Vice
NCA
President of the
conference. Here's
McMahon
Bill.
Group. Bill, how are you enjoying the conference so far?
It's great. Being in LA is one of my favorite spots in the country. So, anytime you can come to where movies are made, it's fun. I know you're a fan of movies as well, so it's interesting.
Yeah, we got to go on that 3D tour, or Real D tour.
Real D, yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was neat. It was just different how all the different elements that come together to show us the movie. So that was interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a secret, but you shared a little bit that you've been into movies as well your whole life.
Yeah, actually, I mean, as far as back as through high school, my buddies and I would actually make movies together. I have one of those guys out here today making movies, a friend of mine, and he's a director and producer and all that fun stuff. And so I had a passion, studied a little bit in college, a little script writing, a little history of film. I love the early days of film a lot. That's one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah, we're here in the Millennium Biltmore, and there's a lot of history. Obviously, they have the Academy Awards here. I think the first ever Academy Awards in the room that the conference is
they have
having.
pictures down the hallway. It was really neat.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what are some of the sessions that you've most enjoyed here?
I really enjoy listening to Bill Walsh from the
Viceroy Hotel Group. Yep.
He had some really interesting things to say, even for a company like ours, to aspire to, and really thinking strategically in different ways. That the idea of the stop, start, continue ideal was very interesting. Something
So
try to
flush that out for us for folks that weren't in the room.
And so it was really about just looking your company in the mirror, meeting on a regular basis, and deciding, putting up on a board, he said flip charts, but in today's world, computer screens have a screen that says stop, one that says start, one that's continue, and looking at things you're doing as a company, if you should stop, start, or continue doing them. And he said if you have everything in continue, that's a bad sign. You need to continue to look at things. We all get into the habit of doing like the weekly meetings or whatever we do in weekly,
right,
or however it happens at your club or group. But it was, why are we doing it? Taking a step back, is this beneficial to what we're doing? Is it making the experience for our customers, members better? Mm-hmm. So it was really interesting. I don't know if you liked that one too. It was good.
I enjoyed that one. I also liked, let's see, you had the Callaway gentleman, he was here, and then Mike Stachura from Golf Digest.
Yeah,
that was a good
those
conversation.
two had a good one-on-one. They know each other as well.
Yeah, it's been
I like to
good,
hear.
I
was looking forward to Peter Uberod. I thought that was the guy's done so much.
Right. Commissioner of baseball. He brought the Olympics to Los Angeles back in the 80s or whatever. And it's been an interesting lineup here, and that's what I like so much about this conference is there's just a depth and a breadth of education you're not going to see elsewhere. Well, let's talk about McMahon Group and some of the trends and things that you guys are spotting. Yeah. I love reading your reports and the magazine you guys put out.
Sure.
So what are some of the things you're seeing out there, Bill?
Yeah. Well, some of the shameless plug. Our latest edition of the Club Trends, the Outlook for 18, is out now, and one of the things it covers a wide range of trends, why bringing members together, and the other one is the whole idea of a pool complex and what that is, and how important swimming has become. Not so much the pool itself, but everything around it. So Frank Vane, our president, has coined the term. It's the gateway amenity to really attract that next generation in.
Right.
They really value that so much when they're looking at a club. Our survey data shows those members under 46, it's the second most important feature at the club to them.
It's incredible.
So that's different. That's amazing. And it's not golf. Golf's important, but it's not. They don't have the time yet. I'm in that group.
I wish I had more time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a big thing. And what we're seeing is we do a lot of capital projects and capital campaigns. It's really that whole complex is just transformed. You always hear the resort style, but it's really a place to bring members together. My club Belle Rive, we turned our towel shack basically into a full service bar.
Nice.
And it became really the way the pool's, the clubhouse wraps around the pool and it's close to the driving range, and as members come off the course. What happened was, during the summer, people coming off the course or coming off the driving range, instead of the men going up to the grill room upstairs, they would all hang out at the pool. Families are there. It's just had a real vibrant atmosphere. And all of a sudden they started serving food from the upstairs, and so we're seeing that all around. A lot of our projects are how do we improve the pool experience?
Right.
It's such an important feature.
I'd like to have a swim up bar. That'd be kind of fun.
You know what? That'll probably coming somewhere somehow. It's baby steps in our industry.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting. That would be a fun thing, I would imagine.
Let's talk about some of the more exciting projects you've got going on. I know you're doing some work here locally.
Yeah, we're doing here the Bel Air Country Club. We're working with them. They're doing a facility campaign right now. Working with Los Angeles Tennis Club, doing some membership research there. So, we're all around.
Yeah. When you walk into a place, do you see it from a different perspective? Are you looking at fixtures and the carpeting and things like that a normal person doesn't really look at?
Yeah, I pay attention. I'll look on like the windowsill, and if it's like dusty or dead bugs or whatever, it's attentive to the attention to detail is so important. I see that, and you can just get a feel. And you you say, you look at the carpets in some of these places, and and clubs just are in different positions in their stature, so it's just interesting.
Yeah, you guys do quite a bit of first impressions reports and things like that. Why is that so important for a club to undertake a first impression report?
Well, it's very valuable for them, just to have us come in with all our experience, whether it's myself, Frank Vane, my dad, Richard Leroux, all of us come in. Tour the facilities. We comment on things we see, like we were talking about, and talk with the management, talk with staff, and really provide recommendations, And that's why they're bringing us in, obviously, to look at it. But it's to bring that experience and really have the opportunity for the board to talk to us, to ask us questions. What's going on in the industry? Because you can read about it, but to hear from us and ask any question, what we're seeing, what do we recommend they do? Because every club's, as you know, unique, and that's what they should be. They should be unique.
It's good. It's so important, I think, to have that third party perspective because sometimes you're just in it every day. You just don't see the bugs on the windowsill. Well, hopefully you do. But
that's what a manager says. It's helpful for us to come in to reinforce the message that they're trying to portray, and it makes sense. Yep. They keep hearing it from the same, but someone from the outside brings in the third party.
It resonates a little bit.
It does. Yeah. It does. And our experience, being around for over 35 years, so. That
You've
helps.
seen it all.
Yeah.
What other trends are you spotting out there?
Well, it's really, we heard yesterday, the issue of time is we hear that a lot. And
sure.
That's affecting everyone and not just club life, but what you're doing in real life.
Yep.
And so, again, what we heard a lot today yesterday from different speakers was the idea of Topgolf. Mm-hmm. And we've investigated. We've done some designs on that ourselves.
Have you?
And for some clubs, and it's not a Topgolf like facility. I mean, the amenities around it are much more country club like, so it'll blend in with the architecture of what you have. But it's about bringing members together, making golf fun,
right?
And
getting the whole family involved, basically.
And, with what Topgolf is doing, not just the hitting out on the range, but they have, we heard yesterday, they have all the technology, all the content they're building in the video games, and the whole idea of simulators are going to take off. I just saw recently someone has a skiing simulator or snowboarding simulator.
That's cool. I'd like to do that.
A massive screen.
Yeah.
And just think about that. All the different things you could do around a social environment to bring people together, whether it's the skiing or the golf or, kids can shoot golf balls and blow up aliens flying into space. Those are the things that are being developed.
That's cool.
Right
it doesn't
now.
have to just be another golf simulator.
Golf simulator, which is
I've seen them you break windows, you have to hit different types of low shots and high shots to try to break different windows on different levels and stuff.
And it makes sense.
Is great.
I mean, that's what, especially that younger generation with the kiddos like we have, and that's what they want. They want something fun, and the hope is with Topgolf is you get some of them to take that next step and I want to try this out. So go further, really play the game.
It's another gateway, like you said about the pool. I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think it will be. The whole embracing technology is so important,
right?
Especially for clubs. We've talked about that many times. It's got to embrace the technology, especially today with the millennials.
For sure.
That group, as they come in to their club joining years, that's going to be very critical.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your perspective and joining me here at the National Club Association.
Well, thank you for having me, Gabe. I appreciate it.
Wow, what a cool group of folks, right? I enjoyed each and every one of those interviews that you've heard these last 3 weeks. I hope, once again, you will check out the nationalclub.org website, see what they're doing, and get involved. It's a fantastic organization. That's going to do it from LA. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you back here next week. Till then, here's to your membership success.
Private Club Radio is brought to you by Concert Golf Partners, helping to preserve and enhance private golf and country clubs. Concert Golf has the capital, expertise, and private club hospitality experience to help upscale private clubs achieving long-term success and membership growth. For 25 years, Concert Golf has allowed private club members to focus on simply enjoying their club. Visit concertgolfpartners.com to learn more about the recapitalization process.